This is Small Talk with 101 ESPN's Michelle Smallman.
We are back. Welcome to episode 150 of Small Talk. Steve Ceruti and Michelle Smallman, your hosts. We are finally back with you. It's been a few weeks, Ceroots, and I think we need to explain to the people, to the Shelleys, why we've been MIA.
Yeah, we were thinking about, 150. This is a big episode, obviously a milestone. And it is a big episode for a couple of reasons, though. One, because we missed the last 2 weeks. And that is because your boy contracted COVID. I am vaccinated. I am. Got the J&J shot in April. Good to go. But I did get COVID, which was kind of a bummer and knocked me out for a good couple of weeks. I only really felt like shit, maybe like for 36 hours, about a day and a half, right? But like the lingering effects, like I sounded like an idiot for like the rest of the week. I still can't smell. So 2 weeks, yeah, I wasn't able to perform. So I'm sorry to the listeners, but I am fine. I'm back. I feel good. I feel totally fine. But I'm ready to talk about. I guess you wanted me to do a captain's log. I didn't really have. There weren't many like eventful things that happened, but there were like little things that I could tell you along the way. And so yeah, I'm ready to get into it. Why not? I'm an open book.
Yeah. Let's do it. First of all, so glad to see you, bud. So
Thank
glad
you.
you're
Yeah,
doing
you too.
okay. I'm glad you're alive, Steve.
I know. I survived.
COVID is no joke.
Survivor in my Twitter bio.
I mean, what was I? I was a survivor of something back in the day. Remember, I put that in my bio. I was like a something survivor. I forget exactly. Something like that. Absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, this is like not tongue in cheek. Like, I am glad that you're okay. We obviously know that so many people have been affected negatively by COVID. A lot of people have passed away because of COVID. And when you got it initially, you were not feeling okay. So I'm glad that you took the time to get back to 100%. And I'm glad that you're feeling better. But I told you during this time, I'm like, since we can't tape the pod, I need a captain's log, even if it's every other day. Like, I need to know what's going on in your life while you're quarantined.
There wasn't a lot. I mean, I'm still actually technically in my quarantine period because it's 10 days from when you first started feeling symptoms. So we're recording this on a Thursday. I am free on Saturday. So your boy's going to go get a haircut. I am going to I guess we've been getting takeout, so it's not that big of a deal, but I don't really know exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm definitely not going to be cooped up in the house, which has been basically my existence for the last couple of weeks. And I work at home, so it's kind of fine. I mostly work through the entire thing, but just to kind of give you some background, this is probably almost a week and a half ago, probably about a week ago. Maddie got COVID first, my wife, and she started feeling sick. And we had just come. It had to be one of two things. We were at a concert, which was definitely not a COVID-friendly environment. It was mostly Gen Z people. Nobody was wearing masks. It was at a bar. Basically, it was like a small sort of venue thing. So that could have been it. And then a few days before that, we were at a wedding, which was outside in Philly. But I guess there were elements of that being inside. But two things. One, the wedding, nobody else there had COVID that we know of, or was sick. So kind of doesn't feel like that makes a ton of sense. And then the concert, I went with my sister and my future brother-in-law, and we were in close contact with them the entire time. I mean, it was like a packed little space, and neither of them got sick either. So I don't really know like how we got it. Maddie has a theory that somebody sneezed in her drink at the concert by accident, and that's maybe how she contracted it. And we don't obviously know that person. They could have been sick, so who knows? But she got it first. Got tested. So I'm like, crap, what do I do? Do I quarantine from her? Do I already have it? Should I just wait it out? So I basically just kind of waited it out. And a couple of days later, I got sick, got tested. I had COVID. And here we are, week and a half later, and I have survived.
Well, I'm glad you're okay again. Also, when I was in Miami, someone sneezed on me and I got very upset and they were like, chill out. I go, you chill out. I don't want to get COVID. Like, do you not understand we're in a pandemic? We've been dealing with all this stuff. Don't sneeze on people in public. Sneeze on people.
Yeah, pandemic or no pandemic, don't sneeze on anyone. That's disgusting. Are you like a elbow sneezer?
Oh,
is that what you
I'm
do?
This all the way.
So you cover it completely, yeah.
Unless I have a tissue and then I'll go like this, but I'm this all the way. And I feel like people, you're right, pre or post pandemic are very cavalier about the public sneeze, and you should not. Some people, you'll just be sitting there and they're full on a chew, not trying to cover, even if it's with their hands, they just like let it fly.
So I guess you're probably going to be against me on this one. And I'm by the way, in public, yes, of course, you should always cover your sneeze, whether it be your hand, which is not preferred, but probably your elbow. But one of the two, do not just sneeze openly.
Get it in the crook right here. Dab on it.
Maddie got mad at me because I sneezed a lot. So my symptoms were weird from COVID. I didn't have any respiratory issues. I actually was kind of breathing mostly fine. I was congested. My face felt like it was about to explode, and not even like my nose necessarily, but just like my face. It was just, it was insane. And there were two like really intense sort of side effects or symptoms that I had. One was that I could not stop sneezing. I would go on these sneezing fits where I would sneeze like 20 times in a row. It was insane. I wasn't even really coughing. I was just sneezing. And I couldn't get out of this like loop cycle. I would blow my nose. I would walk around. I would chug water, like nothing. I would just sneeze for like 20 straight times. And after a while, I just stopped covering my nose because I'm like, I'm going through something right now. And by the way, we both have COVID. So who else am I going to get sick? We're quarantining. Right. What's the big deal? But Maddie got mad at me because after a while, I wasn't covering my face. I wasn't covering my face when I was sneezing. I would just sneeze out into the kitchen or out into the living room. And she'd be like, that's disgusting. Why are you doing that? I'm like, we have COVID. We're both sick. Nobody's coming into this house. We're not leaving. What's the big deal? So that was like, I guess, a point of contention for the two of us. So I don't know if you want to break a tie there. And the other one was that for 2 days, I could not stop crying. I was not because I was emotional, not because I was sad or injured or hurt. My sinuses were just so fucked up that I was constantly crying for 48 hours.
I've known you for a while, and 2 points here before I get to putting my white wig on to judge the sneezing. I have never seen you cry, and I've never seen you sick.
You've seen me cry.
Have I?
Yeah, my wedding.
Oh, at your wedding. At your wedding. Yeah, of course. Well,
but that's really about it.
One time at like the biggest moment of your life. But have you seen me cry?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Well, that's surprising because I feel like I cry all the time.
Yeah, I know that you are a crier, but I don't know what. I'm trying to think that there are any circumstances where you have cried in front of me. Like you're not a crier like in the middle of a studio show one day. Like that wouldn't be you. I don't know.
No, I would go to the bathroom and cry it out.
There you go. Okay, by yourself, like an adult.
I cry alone in the women's bathroom like an adult.
Grow up.
No, like today I read a story about something and I started crying. Like reading about.
What was it about?
About Afghanistan. Just
okay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just like, yeah, I get that.
Or I'm doing this thing for charity and I read this story about a family and you start crying, right? But I have never even seen you outside of your wedding get emotional enough where I thought you may cry. So even though it was sinus related and not emotional related, the fact that you had water or what do you want to call it? Not precipitation. What's the
tears.
Word we're looking?
Pouring down my face.
Coming out of your eyes for 48 hours had to be pretty strange for you.
Yeah, I keep thinking like in Fix You, the Coldplay song, when like the line is like tears stream down your face, which by the way, that is a very emotional song. And that actually in the right circumstance would make me cry. But
it's a beautiful song.
I kept thinking about that because that's literally what was happening. Like tears were just streaming down my face for no reason. And I went and I got my COVID test and I was crying the entire time. And I felt like such an idiot. And I kept having to wipe my face off. And it was just so embarrassing that I told like the nurse who was basically doing the swab test. I was like, I'm not crying. I'm fine. Trust me, it doesn't hurt. Like, this is just like a side effect. She's like, yeah, sure. No big deal. But it was weird because I started like to get like chafing on my cheeks. Cause it was awful. I kept wiping my face with Kleenexes. And it was one of the weirdest sensations I've ever felt in my entire life. I cried more for those 2 days than I might have in my entire life. Easily. Actually, now that I think about it. So
I didn't even know
your boy got his tears out.
I didn't even know that was a COVID symptom is continued crying.
I didn't either. I mean, I think it just fucks your sinuses up. And that's kind of what happened. I mean, I still feel and sound a little bit weird, I think.
You sound a little congested, but not bad.
Yeah. And I think that's fair. But yeah, I guess it's better than, not being able to breathe. So I'll take the constant crying and sneezing over the respiratory issues, which luckily I didn't have anything of. And I don't know if that was because I had the vaccine or not, like still kind of unclear on where that kind of works into the situation, but it was a breakthrough case and, here I am.
You have survived. Now, again, so not only have I not outside your wedding seen you cry, I've never even seen you sick. So I don't even know if you're a tough guy when you're sick or if you're like a big baby when you're sick. What's Ceruti with a cold like?
I think I'm fine. My wife thinks I'm like the worst human being ever. So you have to understand, I rarely get sick, rarely. So you said that you've never seen me sick. I probably get sick maybe once a year, maybe. And it's usually not that bad. My wife gets sick a lot and it's just, I don't know, whatever, it's her immune system or whatever. So she's kind of like used to being sick and she's good at taking care of herself and getting better quickly. Whereas I have no idea what to do. Like I'll just take a bunch of Tylenol. I've taken 2 drugs that will counteract each other. That's how little I know about things. Like I'll take I'll take something that is supposed to clear me up. Then I'll also take something that's supposed to make me congested. And she's like, you took 2 things that are counter opposites to each other. Like, why are you doing this to yourself? You're an idiot. And she has all these different methods. Like she'll make this like voodoo drink thing where it's like ginger, cayenne pepper, lemon, whatever. And I refuse to drink it because it tastes like shit and it actually makes me feel worse. So I just don't drink it.
It probably opens you up though.
It does, but it also tastes terrible. And I'd rather feel like shit than have to drink this bullshit voodoo drink. So I don't. So Maddie gets frustrated with me when I get sick because she doesn't think I try to get better. She just thinks I like sit there in my own misery, which may be true. But I also need a ruling on this one. One of the things that she wanted to do is I guess there's some essential oil that you rub on your back and your feet that's supposed to make you feel better. And I drew the line. I'm like, you're not rubbing essential oil on my feet. Like how is that going to make me feel better? That makes absolutely no sense. Maybe you could explain it better than she did, but I drew the line there and she got mad at me because she's like, you don't want to feel better. I'm like, I do. I just don't want oil on my feet. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and do a ruling on both right now. Number one, I'm actually surprisingly on your side in the house as far as the sneezing is concerned. If you both have, yes, I think that's disgusting that you're sneezing everywhere. But A, you're both married. B, you both have COVID and you're quarantined. And if you're on a sneezing fit, try to dab it in the crook as much as you can. But if you're in separate rooms and it's coming in waves, I can see you just being like, I'm here for 10 days. Like, I'm just going to let it fly. We're both sick, whatever.
Thank you.
Now, on the other hand, you're insane. Put the oil on your feet and your back. That is such a small, minor move to make to maybe feel better. It's probably like an oil that has mint or something that opens up your sinuses. I think it was
peppermint or something.
Peppermint, open up your sinuses and it'll probably make you feel better. And even if it didn't, it's just rubbing something on your body. Wouldn't you at least try that in case it did make you feel better?
Because do you like the what is it, the Vicks vapor rub stuff, like when you rub that on your chest when you're sick? I haven't done that since I was like a baby, but I hate that feeling. I absolutely hate it, and I don't want to do it. And I kind of felt like this was the same thing, and it was on my feet. What the hell is some oil on my feet going to do to my sinuses? Well, come on, wouldn't you rub it on your face?
Wait, you've never done that when you were a kid? No, this is a whole thing that if you put Vicks on your feet and then put socks on, it actually works through your body from your feet.
I did not know that, but not interested, because then my feet are oily and disgusting. Now, not only do I feel like shit, but my feet have oil over them. Like, this is terrible.
I'm sorry. That's good. It's moisturizing and actually making your skin softer. So you're welcome.
No. Listen, I exfoliate. Don't worry about my skin. We're fine. but I didn't understand that. So she kind of got mad at me for a couple of days because she's like, you don't want to get better. I'm like, I'm fine. I'll be fine. And I was fine. After a couple of days, I felt much better. I slept really well. And here we are.
Okay. So during this time of being quarantined, let me back up for a second. Prior to you getting COVID, I had been kind of on your case because you hadn't watched a lot of shows that I needed you to catch up on. Were you at least able to consume some good content? I know you were working during this time still, but you're quarantined. You can't do anything else. Have you caught up on any shows?
You're not going to be happy with me because I didn't watch the shows that you wanted me to watch.
Damn it, Steve.
But I did watch some shows. I watched White Lotus, which I thought was awesome. Really enjoyed that. A+ content for sure. If we're not doing that, but I'll just put that in A+ content. That should be in a category on its own.
I still have to watch the finale, so maybe next week we get into that.
Yeah, it was great. I think it's an incredibly well-written show. It's hilarious. All the characters are very unlikable, and that's what's funny about the show. It's kind of like some Succession in that way. But the finale is pretty wild. I mean, somebody dies. So, I mean, I think you know that. So I'm not like spoiler alert here, but that's part of the show. You actually find that out sort of in the first episode. But I love the show, but I didn't watch F1. I'm sorry. I haven't really caught up on, what else was I supposed to watch? I haven't really caught up on Sopranos at all, which I will get to. I'm somewhere in season 4, I believe. And was there something else I was supposed to watch? I forget. I think it was just F1.
No, it was F1. It was Sopranos, and there was something else.
Was it a show or a movie?
No, it was definitely a show. Hold on. I've got to think about this for a second. I know it was not Mayor of Easttown. There was something that I needed you to watch. We'll come back to it, but I know I had given you homework and you didn't do it. So
yeah, sorry. I know.
Okay. So was it, I'm scrolling through my watched.
Wait, you have like a list of shows that you watched on your phone?
No, just like on
IMDb
Netflix, watch it again.
Okay.
Right. Like it's a list of things that you've watched. And you know what's hilarious? You know what's in there? Austin Powers, The Spy That Shagged Me.
Wow, that's not. Was it Ted Lasso?
Yes, it was Ted Lasso.
Oh, so okay. So I'm waiting until season 2 is done to watch that show.
Okay, I understand.
I'm gonna binge it. I want it on my time, so I will wait. Although I did hear the Christmas special was great, even though it's August, which seems a little odd, but here we are.
So have you watched Yellowstone?
No, but I've heard that I would like it, which I should say, I take that back. I've heard people tell me that I would love it, and I've heard people tell me that it's trash and I would hate it.
Same. So after I went to Wyoming, a ton of people were like, oh, you were in Jackson Hole. Did you watch Yellowstone? And I was like, no. And you're right. 50% of people have told me I would love it. And about the same have been like, not worth it. You're not going to like it. So I kind of don't know if I should take the plunge or not.
I have heard that it is like a Western version of Succession, which if that's the case, I'm all in. Like, I love Succession. I think it's the best show on television. I can't wait till it comes back. I think it's coming back, October? The Roy family, can't get enough of them. I think it's amazing.
Well, I have to tell you, I follow a gossip site on Instagram, and cousin Greg has been all over New York City partying.
Cousin Greg. Tom and Greg are the two best characters in the show. Like, I need a spin-off show, and I'm not a spin-off guy, but I need a Tom and Greg spin-off show after this thing is
Love
over.
Greg.
But so if that's the case, then I would be into it. But then I'm not a Costner guy. Like, I'm really not. And I know you're gonna probably judge me. And you may even know this based on what was it, last summer when we did the movies that we hadn't watched. I'd never even seen Field of Dreams, so I really wasn't into the whole Field of Dreams Iowa thing, even though it did seem like a pretty cool experience. But I'm just not a Costner guy. So it's really conflicting for me because there's like there's like a few seasons, right? I think it's one of those shows too that you have to like watch a bunch of episodes to really get into, right? It's not just like, oh, I'm hooked off the bat. Right. So I don't know. I'm afraid to sort of take the plunge on it.
How on God's green earth, Steve, have you not seen Field of Dreams?
That movie, I'm sorry, it looks incredibly corny. Yes,
Steve, they are surrounded by cornfields. You're correct. It's a corny movie.
Okay, no pun intended. That's a great call there. I didn't even mean the pun intended. But no, come on. It looks like a movie that was made, probably in the 80s? Was in the 80s, 90s?
Steve, 90s, but like, it's about baseball and romanticizing baseball and loving your family and the history of the game and intertwining all of it together. It's insane that you have not seen it, and it's very good, and you should watch it, and you'll probably cry at the end, not because you have COVID, but because it's emotional.
I could already tell you that I would not like it. I wouldn't cry, and I have no interest in seeing it. What's better? What's more egregious? Because I've seen Sandlot, and I think Sandlot is okay. I think it's okay. I think it's pretty overrated, but I think it's okay. You think Sandlot is overrated? But I've seen Sandlot. So
hold on. Why do you think it's overrated? Because it has sharp comedy, because it's about inclusivity, because it's about romanticizing baseball, because it's about kids being kids and enjoying their summer. And it's about how baseball can take you back to any point in your life. It's about overcoming a beast, but really seeing that the beast is not scary. I mean, there's so many themes here.
Okay. All great points by you. I just think that people look to that movie and say, oh, Sandlot's an incredible movie. It's not an incredible movie. It's a good movie. It's okay. It's fine. I think they just think about it because it's like Space Jam, right? Space Jam's actually not that great of a movie. We talked about this, but it's because you grew up with it in your childhood. You're like, oh, Space Jam, it's this amazing movie. It's actually not that great of a movie. It's just the nostalgia factor. And I think that's what happens with the Sandlot a lot. But again, I've seen Sandlot. So at least I feel like that has more cred than maybe Field of Dreams does. Because if I told you I didn't see Sandlot and told you I didn't see Field of Dreams, you'd be more surprised with Sandlot, right?
Yeah, of course. Just
yeah. So all right, I've seen Sandlot. I think it's probably a better overall movie.
Do you remember as a kid going to Blockbuster and like picking out the movies?
Oh my God, yeah. It was I miss doing that.
The shit, right?
Because now I'm too indecisive. Now, like when I go on Netflix, I'll scroll through there for like 3 hours and I don't actually watch anything. When I used to go to Blockbuster and I'd be like, this picture looks sick. It's like Keanu Reeves in a bus. I'm in. Let me watch Speed. This is great. Oh my God. And it's a terrible movie.
Okay, what was the movie where John Travolta was like an angel that fell from the sky?
Phenomenon. I love that
Phenomenon.
Movie. Right. I love that movie. It's terrible. It's a terrible movie, but I love it.
Why am I thinking Michael? What's the movie Michael? Is that a Kevin Costner deal? Stand by.
Michael movie?
Yeah, hold on. Michael.
But Phenomenon's a terrible. Oh yeah, wait. No, wait. You might be right. That is Michael.
It is Michael, right? He's
Michael,
yes. Okay.
American fantasy film. Yep.
John Travolta was an angel and he like fell from the sky, and it's not a good movie. But I remember going to Blockbuster and being like, John Travolta must be great. I loved Grease. And you rent it and then you're like, probably like a 5.5 on a 10 scale, but also great Friday night because I got junior mints and some Papa John's and I chilled and watched Michael.
Hold on. Because Phenomenon is like the same movie. And it's both John Travolta and they both came out in the same year. So holy shit.
Did they?
Okay, so this is the description for Phenomenon. 1996, an ordinary man sees a bright light descend from the sky and discover he now has super intelligence and telekinesis. That's Phenomenon.
Okay.
Michael, I'm going to bring this up. Also 1996, two tabloid reporters checking out a report of an Archangel Michael living with an old woman find out that it's true, but that's not the only surprise. Those seem way too similar to come out in the same year and also be the same leading character in John Travolta. That's very strange. No?
So both John Travolta vehicles, both about supernatural things happening in a small town.
Let's see what this got. Okay, so Michael 5.7, Phenomenon 6.4. That's actually not that bad. I remember Phenomenon not being a terrible movie.
Also, you were like 9 years old.
Yeah, I remember my parents watching that and renting it. And I was like, this is cool. But I also like aliens and weird shit like that. So that's probably why I liked it.
Also, you were probably like, this is the one movie I watched in like 14 days. So I think that this is okay. True. You didn't have a lot to compare it against. Right now, we're saturated with content. It's
brutal. It really is brutal because there's so much content out there for everyone to watch, shows, movies, whatever. And we've kind of talked about this, but I think HBO does the best job of it all. Netflix doesn't make good movies. Can anyone recommend me a good movie on Netflix? I feel like they do a bad job making movies.
No, I agree. They all are.
Like HBO, terrible. The original, they'll be good. There's some series on Netflix that are good, but I think overall Netflix is kind of disappointing. Other side note, John Travolta now bald. Did you know that?
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah, I kind of like that look for him. It's a good look.
Okay, so I was having this conversation at a video shoot yesterday. I'm envious of bald guys. I really am, because stick with me here. I know it's probably sucks as a dude to lose your hair. It has to be frustrating. It's something that you can't control, right? Like at least as a female, if I go, or a dude, if you go gray, you can dye your hair. So like the aging process, you can mask it or at least feel good about it or control it. If you're going bald, unless you're going to get the hair transplant surgery, you're just kind of like, this is me.
Yeah.
However, I think maybe it's because I'm getting older. Most guys that go bald look very refined and sophisticated, and they have like the beard going, and it's not a bad look. And I think about like the free time that you have, that you don't have to shampoo your head, you don't have to style your hair. Not that dudes have a whole heap of time that they have to get ready anyway, but it just seems very amazing to be able to check one thing off the list that you don't have to ever worry about again.
I'm sure bald guys are going to be like, fuck you, Ceruti, this is bullshit. But there are times when I'm jealous of bald guy.
That's what I'm saying.
There are times when I go, yeah, all right, I know you don't have control of the situation, so you had to shave your head, but the bald head beard look is like an elite look. I would argue
it's a great look.
For some people, and I'm looking at a picture of Travolta right now. I think it's the best Travolta's ever looked. Maybe since Grease.
I was going to say Danny Zuko.
Yeah, but his hair was ridiculous. I don't know, I'm not a big fan of that like big 60s or 80s, I guess, hair thing where it's like ton of pomade and everything is big and pushed back. I don't know.
You mean like your hair right now?
No. My hair's not that long. I'm not like,
it's very style. Like,
well, I'm getting my hair cut on Saturday once I have this, once I'm out of quarantine. And I kind of wanted to go back to, you remember when I shaved it, obviously over quarantine, over the other quarantine. I kind of want to do it again. Like I miss the freedom of not having to do my hair every morning. I really do. It's amazing. It was unlike anything I've ever felt. So I'm kind of jealous of bald guy because he gets pushed into that corner. But if that's a look that you can pull off, you kind of got to be tan too and have dark, I would imagine, dark hair. But if you got the bald hair, dark, big beard thing, it's hot. Not gonna lie.
It's a good look. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a good look. I know.
But do me a favor, Steve. If you're going to shave your head, don't go full Travis Kelce on us where you shave the beard and the head at the same time.
No, I would never do that.
It's a little disconcerting. I did not even recognize him when I saw that photo. I know he's been taking a lot of heat online. I thought he handled it really well by, photoshopping the drawn beard on his photo. But oh my God, he looks like a completely different person.
I'm looking it up right now. He shaved his head.
You've seen it, right? Travis Kelce without a beard. Oh, I know you've been quarantined. Go to Twitter or whatever and look at Travis Kelce without his beard. He is a different person.
Oh my God. You're right.
I couldn't believe it. I go, that's not him. There's no way. And yes, that's him.
Well, I mean, as a girl, have you ever been duped by a guy who had a great beard, but then when he shaved it off, he had like a terrible face? Like James Harden's kind of like that. You'll go, oh, have you ever seen James Harden without a beard? It's like, who the hell is this guy?
Should I Google it?
Yeah, James Harden without a beard is jarring. I mean, no disrespect to James Harden, it's fine, but like he looks great with a beard. He should never not have a beard.
My God, I've never seen this. Okay, again, that is a different person.
It's crazy.
That if that person was walking towards me and said, "I'm James Harden," I would say, "You're a liar."
Yeah, kindly step away from me, sir.
Imposter.
I think there's been times for me where I pretty much have had a beard for 7 years, I would say. Mostly I haven't bicked my face in 7 years or so. But there was one time a couple years ago when I had a beard and I was like, I just kind of want to see what it looks like without it. And I didn't bick it, but I trimmed it like on the electric shaver as close as possible.
Yeah.
And Maddie was like, don't do it. You're going to hate it. You're going to hate it. And I'm like, Maddie, let me live my life. I'm my own human. I'm shaving my beard. Like I'm doing this. I shaved half of my face and I was like, I immediately regret this decision. I looked so stupid. I hated my face. And I basically had to look like an idiot for like 3 days until my beard grew back.
Oh, 3 days.
Well, at least to get some stubble. Like
I
needed some stubble. Like I needed something. Like I'll have varying degrees of how long and short it is, but there always needs to be something on my face. If it is basically clear, I hate the way my face looks. True story.
But isn't that bizarre though?
It is. It's kind of weird.
You know what's funny is if you have a kid and they come out looking like you, they're going to look like your face without facial hair on it. And you're going to be like, wow, that's me. Like, I know a lot of people who have had plastic surgery on their face and their kid comes out with like their original nose. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God, your kid looks like original you. Like your kid's going to come out looking like you without facial hair.
Where'd your kid get that nose from? I don't know. Crazy. Must be a recessive
original. Gene. Yeah, I have no idea. What? Okay. So, wow. James Hart. But see, okay. As a female, right? I have blonde hair now. I'm sure if you went back to original me, dark hair, zero makeup on, I would be like James Harden walking down the street. You'd be like, who is that?
That is true. So what we're basically saying is beards are makeup for men.
Yeah, beards are makeup for men. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Which I'm good with.
Yeah, although men's makeup is in now, right? I've seen dudes like not even like straight dudes that wear makeup, which I don't know if I'd ever go that far, but.
Well, I was at a video shoot yesterday with some dudes and they had to wear makeup and they hated it.
That's different.
And I was like, oh my God, you have to wear powder. Chill out.
See, that's different though. Like Will used to get makeup done for the show, Will Kane, right? And he would, he acted like he didn't like it, but then I knew he actually did because when he didn't wear it or when he didn't have time to get it on, he would like kind of comment about how bad he looked. And I'm like, you actually like makeup, dude. Like, don't be afraid to admit that. It's okay. Because like you look better with makeup. It's not a big deal. I just don't think I would ever do that.
You have a beard, so it might be a little different, but
yeah, I have natural makeup. There you go.
That's right. You have natural makeup, but have you ever seen yourself on camera or in a photo with makeup on?
No, I've never put makeup on, but I've looked at myself on television a few times, like when, the Will show, and I'd be like, did you guys have to use that angle? Like I look like an idiot. I look terrible. The lighting would be awful. That's where I kind of got the nickname Twilight back in the day because the lighting wasn't good on me. So I looked like I was a vampire. But I blame that on the TV crew.
Can we stay here for a second?
Yeah.
I'm with you. I know the TV crew was like trying to be creative and come in at different angles. So it wasn't the same shot every day. They would come in sometimes at such an unflattering
close up on your
angle.
back and it would just pan out.
Steve, it would be like, we're coming from break, no heads up. I wouldn't know that we were coming from break. I'd be eating a sandwich in the studio, being like,
housing a hoagie.
Maybe I can take a bite of this turkey wrap before we come back, since we had our show meeting and I didn't get to eat. And there would be no heads up. It wouldn't be like, hey, Michelle, we're coming back from break. We're coming in from the back or whatever. So maybe don't eat the salt and vinegar chips.
Put the sandwich down.
And I wouldn't even know it until I look up at the monitor and there's me shy food. So embarrassing.
Ryan used to always get mad because, back before, speaking of being bald, and Ryan, a perfectly great example of the bald beard look. Like, I think Ryan looks better than he did when he had hair. It was really jarring at first. I remember the first day Ryan showed up and had a shaved head, and I was like, Jesus, this is intense.
Oh, so you were there for the transition.
Oh,
That's interesting because most people that I know who are like have the bald beard look, that's the only way I've ever known them. I've never seen the full.
No.
Wow. Okay. We're doing like the swan transition here.
So I've had two pretty big ones in my life. One was Ryan and the other was my friend Jeremy, who is now bald, but he can't grow a beard because he's a cop. And he also has a red mustache and a brown beard. So it's kind of an odd situation.
Hold on. Cops can't grow beards?
I think it depends on the department, but they can grow a mustache, I believe, but they cannot grow a full beard. At least in his department. I don't know what the deal is. It's like the Yankees, right?
Yeah. Okay. So you can go Selleck, but not James Harden.
Yeah. I mean, in their defense, like cops have mustaches. Yeah. When's the last time you saw a cop with a beard?
I don't know. I understand you're a cop and there's rules that you need to follow from an appearance standpoint, but I also feel like if you can grow a mustache, is a goatee okay?
No.
What about what's this called?
Oh, the hell is that thing called? We're talking about underneath your bottom.
Yeah, like right here. It's just like a thing.
Damn
right
it!
here.
Why am I blanking on this? Because my friend Jeremy did have that growing up. We still make fun of him to this day. Soul patch. Soul patch. Yeah. What are we doing? I can't believe. I'm embarrassed. It took me that long to figure that out.
Okay, so can you have a soul patch?
No, you just the mustache or nothing.
So you're really discriminating against the bottom lip or your chin.
Basically. And I told him, I was like, this is an excuse for you to grow a mustache. Mustaches are sick. They're back. Everyone's growing mustaches now. Cool people have mustaches again. And he's like, nah, I don't want to grow a mustache.
Name one cool person that has a mustache. It's taking you too long already.
You're right. But like, I've seen pictures of guys where I'm like, oh, that's a cool looking mustache. Like if I grew a good mustache, maybe I would use it. I have a terrible mustache, so I won't grow one. It's just too wiry and weird. But if I had like a good, like thick caterpillar Tom Selleck deal, hell yeah.
Do you realize that both of us, when talking about mustaches, could only cite Tom Selleck as a good mustache? So I don't think mustaches are in.
My dad had a great mustache growing up. True story.
Did he shave it?
He did. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he did.
You know, my dad at one point had a mustache. It wasn't great. My Uncle Terry has had a mustache. That's a hard word to say, mustache. My Uncle Terry has had a mustache since he was 19 years old and has never shaved it. And one night we were on vacation, we were all having cocktails, and I was like, Uncle Terry, how much money would it cost for me to get you to shave your mustache? And he goes, there's not enough money in the world. I would never shave it. Like, this is who I am.
Good for him.
I don't believe him. If I gave him $1 million, he would definitely do it.
Yeah, there's no way, but I appreciate him sticking to what he thinks are his.
But that would be like James Harden, right? Like myself, my dad, are his children have never seen him without a mustache. They would not even know what his whole face looks like.
So I just Googled mustache, and there's a lot of famous people that come up with mustaches. Henry Cavill looks great with a mustache. Great.
Who is that?
He played Superman in all the DC movies.
He's very
super good looking buff dude. Looks great with a mustache.
Is he the guy that was in the Tudors?
I don't know. I haven't seen that.
I think if we're thinking of
but
the
he's
same
British,
guy.
so probably.
Okay.
Who else? Here's one with what's his name? Chris, one of the Chris's, the guy who plays Captain America.
Chris Pine? Chris Evans?
No, not Chris Evans. Yes, Chris Evans. Because there's like 900 Chris's. There's Pratt, Pine, Evans. It's Chris Evans. He has a mustache. Definitely looks like a cop, but not a terrible mustache. So that's good. Nick Offerman from Community. Great mustache. I mean, he has like the dad old school man mustache, but it's a good looking mustache.
Fun fact, Nick Offerman went to Illinois.
There you go. I thought you were going to say it's one of two things. Either he went to Illinois or he's from St. Louis.
You know what? Donated a lot of money to the Japan House. Thank you, Nick Offerman.
Oh, the shout out to Nick Offerman. Love that. Tom Cruise. There's a picture of not Tom Cruise of Brad Pitt with a mustache. He looks very good. Although the fedora looks pretty terrible.
Listen, Brad Pitt could punch himself in the face and look great.
There is, you know what mustache I've always wanted to grow, but I don't think I could do it. Is the handlebar mustache that curls, you know, like the old like 1920s one.
Yeah, like Captain Morgan. On it.
Yeah,
like Captain Morgan.
Not Captain Morgan. No, like
Ulysses S. Grant.
Yeah, like Ulysses S. Grant. That'd be he looked good. He looked kind of good. I respect it.
Kind of good.
Jared Leto, not great.
You look like a caricature of yourself.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want that like forever, but it'd be a cool thing to try out. But again, I don't grow a great mustache. So there's anyway. You said I only named one person. There are several people here. Just Google mustache. There's plenty of good looking dudes with mustaches.
Right, but you're citing people who would look good no matter what they did to themselves.
Nick Offerman, I would say, looks better with a mustache.
But you've never seen him without one. So
I have. Yeah, he has like a kind of a puppyish face, right?
Actually, I think Ron Swanson did shave once on Parks and Rec.
And it was probably a terrible decision.
It's just jarring. Whenever someone has a beard and they shave it, you're like, what? That's what was under there? Oh my God.
Jake Gyllenhaal mustache.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
Looks great.
Come on.
I'm just saying. Anyway.
Okay.
I got on this, but shout out to mustaches.
Okay, well, let me throw something else at you. Okay, so while you were dealing with COVID, you know what I did? I went to Canton, Ohio, and I went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Was that fun?
Yeah, it was great. So I went with my show for Isaac Bruce's induction. Shout out to Isaac, who is now a very well-deserved Pro Football Hall of Famer. The greatest show on turf. You just might as well induct the entire team in there. It's unbelievable. We had a great show where we visited with so many members of that team. And going back through the numbers, that has to be like the single greatest team in the history of the NFL. And it was really weird, Steve, to me to be there because I clearly have ill will towards the NFL. And I love the greatest show on turf. And I love all the people that contributed to that team. We had so many people who have deep roots to St. Louis: Isaac Bruce, Kurt Warner, Ricky Prohl, Dick Vermeil, Mike March, Jay Zygmunt. I mean, the list goes on and on. Our boy DeMarco Farr, not to mention so many people who worked for the team and the organization, whether it was the PR staff or in sales, all of these people that were there that we used to have what we still have great relationships with, but from a working perspective, when they're the team in town that you work with that are just gone now. And it was very bittersweet for me because it was amazing to celebrate Isaac and to celebrate that team. But it was so sad because I was sitting there being like, this is probably the last positive experience that I'll ever have with the NFL ever. And that's kind of a bummer when you think about it. Like, for a sport that rules America and for a sport that you grow up loving and a sport that you really pour a lot of your time, energy, and resources into, for this to maybe be the end of the road and the last thing that you could ever celebrate, it was really sad, actually.
I'm going to cheer you up because you've got the sport of the future, soccer, coming to you guys in 2023, correct?
Correct. Good job.
So don't be too depressed for too long, because soccer, the sport of the future since like 1996. But no, I totally understand what you're saying. I mean, obviously you guys got a raw deal. It sucks. It's BS. And it's probably a really complicated. It's almost like I'm trying to have what's like an analogy for that? Like, it's almost like you break up with somebody, but you have to hang out. You have to see them at work every day or something. Like, they're constantly in your life, so you can't actually get over them because you still have to talk about football, right, on your show
all the time.
You still have players like obviously, Isaac Bruce is a guy that no matter what, you're still going to love this guy. Torrey Holt, the whole group.
And people play fantasy football.
People play fantasy football.
They want to hear about football.
So as much pain as it has sort of caused you and the city of St. Louis, which is totally, fair, and I get why you'd be pissed off, you guys can't get closure on it, right? Because you constantly have to be. It's constantly thrown in your face. I mean, if you want to be a sports fan in St. Louis and you're watching SportsCenter or whatever, listening to stuff, what's the number one sport? It's the NFL. Like, you're never going to be able to escape that. So in a lot of ways, like, I do kind of feel sorry for you guys because, you can't actually get that closure and get over it because it's constantly being, forced fed down, down your throat, even though you don't want it.
And the saddest part about it to me, because when I was a kid, the greatest show on turf was here, which was magic, and it was amazing. But after that, the Rams sucked for a really long time. And when I say suck, I mean historically suck. 15-65 is tied for the worst 5-year stretch of football in NFL history. Like, we watched some, shitty is not even an accurate description of some of the football that we had to endure here in St. Louis. However, even during those bad times, you had guys like Chris Long and James Laurinaitis. And there's something about a football team and its presence in a city and the way that the players connect with the team. Of course, you have that in baseball and hockey and all the other sports that we have, but that's what I'll miss is the guys that really ingratiate themselves into your community and do good things. Like, Kurt Warner hasn't played in St. Louis or lived in St. Louis or really even spent a lot of time here for a long time. And he still does this unbelievable coat drive every winter called Warner's Warm Up, where he collects coats and gives them to people who are homeless, right? Isaac Bruce has a foundation and he does so many great things for the city of St. Louis. Chris Long has poured back in. And it's just, that's the thing that I'll miss, right? Like, I miss the excitement around game day. I miss the great people that work for the team. And I think most importantly, I miss the players that have this incredible platform that can do really good things in your community.
I think in a lot of ways, it's probably like when, you and I were at ESPN, right? I don't necessarily miss the 4 letters. I don't really at all. what I miss are Bubba, Nuno, Liam, like all the people that we worked with, right? All the people that you made shows with and built relationships with. That's really what matters. So I think you probably feel the same. So I think it is a complicated situation because I don't think you'll ever feel negatively about you're not going to feel negatively about those guys. You love those guys, and rightfully so, because they brought so much joy to you and your childhood. Even if they weren't good, later on, it's fine. But I think that's a good comparison, is that like, those are it's always the relationships that you care more about than it is like whatever the bigger picture thing is, and like I said, you're going to make new memories coming up in 2 years, and it'll be awesome. And I'll be there rooting them on, because that's, I guess I don't have a soccer team yet. So I guess they are my soccer team. So I'll be there rooting for them with you. So I think like the Hall of Fame thing is cool, but I think, the other part of this is he the last Ram that'll probably be inducted? I mean, is anybody else, are you have to go through this again?
Well, that's the good news, is that when I was there, I think there's a pretty strong groundswell for Dick Vermeil to get in, and Torrey Holt is somebody that there's been a lot of conversation about and is very deserving of the Hall of Fame. So hopefully Coach Vermeil gets in, and hopefully Torrey Holt gets in. So this might not be the last one, but you never know with stuff like that. It could take a while. But I went to the Hall of Fame, Steve, to the Football Hall of Fame, and I was, the NFL does everything so big and so grand, and I haven't been to Cooperstown. I haven't been to.
Miss Baseball has not been to Cooperstown. Wow. Okay.
Never been to Cooperstown. I know, which is crazy, right? But I didn't really know what to expect. And it's not that it was bad, but it was just kind of a little underwhelming for me, I guess. Like, the busts are really cool, but I expected it to be this like really big tunnel or something, and like this almost like a national treasure type deal.
It's a museum, right? I mean, that's essentially what it is, right?
It's just a museum, and it's
and I love
cool.
museums.
It's cool, but I could have gone my entire life without going to Canton, and I would be just fine.
I was looking up where we drafted Ohio in our state draft. Do you want to take a stab?
It has to be bottom 20.
It was bottom 20.
Having been there a few times, and no disrespect to my fellow Midwestern state, bottom 10.
It was bottom 10. It was 43rd overall. I took it. I didn't even remember taking it, to be honest with you. So I guess that's what happens when you get that far down. So this was the order. I went Indiana, fellow Midwest state. You took Indiana. I took Ohio at 43, and then 44. You took Kansas. So we just went on a Midwest run in the middle of there. So Ohio definitely towards the lower end. So that's why I kind of like sarcastically asked you if it was fun, because I kind of feel like Ohio is no disrespect to the people of Ohio. I'm sure it's great. I have family in Ohio, but not like place that I would go. Is there a reason why is it in Canton, Ohio? Like, I don't understand. I've never even known that. I don't even know why the baseball one is in Cooperstown. I've never been either. Don't really have any interest, but why are they in both respective places? I don't know.
I don't know. Let me Google it. I never found out.
Because football wasn't invented in Ohio, was it?
I think it was invented there. There's all these signs like the birthplace of football.
Oh, well, then there you go. Okay. Why is the Hall of Fame
find out
in Canton? Here we go. Primary reasons are the American Professional Football Association, later renamed the NFL, was founded there. Okay. The Canton Bulldogs were an early football power, even before the NFL days. And I don't see number 3, so I don't know. But I guess, okay, so it was invented there. So there you go. I would have never known that.
Yeah.
But I guess that makes sense. It's a stupid question by me.
Well, we had to drive. We flew into Cleveland, drove there. We stayed in Akron. Shout out to LeBron.
Akron Hammer.
There was
Washed King. By the way, he needs to stop calling. He needs to stop doing this. Did you see this?
No,
he called himself the Washed King again. He's like, using this as motivation because nobody voted him as the best player in the NBA in some like random poll. And you're like, dude, I'm sorry. Like, can we stop doing this? Like, you're great. You're LeBron James. Like, I know like the Aaron Rodgers, let me get a chip on my shoulder thing, I'm going to be better. Nobody's saying you're washed. You just weren't voted the best player in the league because you lost in the first round of the playoffs. Moving on.
How do you feel about Russ, by the way, going to the Lakers? We haven't talked since then.
Terrible. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. They went from Buddy Hield, who would have been a perfect fit as like just a 3-point shooter guy that doesn't need the ball to impact the game, to Russell Westbrook, who literally needs the ball at all times. I have no idea how it's going to work. I think it's a terrible fit. And I mean, honestly, though, the banter, if LeBron wins a championship with Russell Westbrook before Kevin Durant did, that actually would be kind of funny. But I think he's so detrimental to their team. I don't know. I hate the fit. I really do.
So it's Melo, it's Dwight Howard, right? It's
Melo,
LeBron,
Dwight's back, obviously AD and LeBron.
That's a lot of personality on one team.
That's a doing too much all-star team.
Yeah. And the age, it's up there. The average age.
A lot of like weird vague Instagram posts on that team. A lot of like, sort of like chip on my shoulder guys who, I don't know. I just don't like the fit at all whatsoever.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see it clicking, but you know more about basketball than I do. Maybe it'll work.
I like Russ though, so cheers. I mean, I hope it works out. I'd love to see Russ win a championship. I don't know. I don't think this is. Although this is probably his best chance to, even more, probably more so than those OKC teams.
Wait, let me ask you another question. What happens to my guy Bradley Beal?
So the knock on Beal now is that he isn't ambitious enough.
Yeah, because I mean, he wants to stay in Washington, right?
Which is a terrible decision because they're just not a good team,
right?
And so the question is, does he want to stay there because he's not ambitious? Does he want to stay there because his family is there and he doesn't want to move his family, which is totally understandable. People don't really know. I mean, there are plenty of teams around the league that would want Bradley Beal on their team. He would be super valuable. Honestly, he'd have been a great fit on the Lakers. But the word around is that he's happy there. He doesn't want to leave DC. So, I mean, I love DC. It's one of my favorite cities. So I understand, but the whole thing of basketball guys now is like winning championships, right? And he is not going to sniff a championship if he stays there.
Okay, whatever happened to this groundswell of him somehow getting to the Celtics and it's like a St. Louis superstar tandem of Beal and Tatum?
Nah, that won't happen. Celtics don't have enough assets. Don't have enough. The Celtics are kind of a mess right now. They just obviously Brad Stevens is now their new GM. Left their head coach. Danny Ainge left as the GM president. They hired a new coach. They just signed Dennis Schroeder for actually a pretty great contract, but I just have never been a Dennis Schroeder fan. So it's kind of a weird fit. Kemba's no longer there. The Celtics went from being like the team that everybody thought was going to rule the East a couple years ago. Like the Celtics are going to be a dynasty in the East to all of a sudden they're probably the 5th or 6th, maybe 7th best team in the Eastern Conference. Like the sky kind of fell pretty quickly for them.
Okay, final NBA question because we haven't talked in a few weeks.
Yeah, what is this? The talking hoops with Ceroots? We're doing an impromptu one.
Yeah, impromptu hoops with Ceroots. What's your thoughts on Embiid and his deal staying in Philly?
I like Embiid. I love his personality. I think he's hilarious. Like I love that he just like hits on Rihanna on Twitter randomly, although he hasn't done that in a while.
Yeah, she's with A$AP Rocky, which is my favorite celebrity couple.
That is very random.
No, it's not random. It is like meant to be. Those two, like the cool factor there is off the freaking charts.
Yeah. I listen, my feelings about Rihanna. I'm not going to say a bad word about Rihanna. I love Rihanna. Rihanna greater than Beyonce. It's a debate as old as time for us. But my feeling on Embiid is I love him as a guy. I like to watch him as a neutral, but if I have to win a championship, I'm not going to bet on that guy ever for a couple of reasons. One, I don't think big men win in the league anymore. And you could say, oh, Giannis is a big man. Giannis is not a traditional big. He's not. He handles the ball. Giannis is also an absolute freak of nature. He doesn't make any sense. I'm talking about traditional back to the basket center. I just don't think you win in the NBA with that guy anymore as your best player. And then number two, I just don't think he's reliable. He gets hurt a lot. I think emotionally, I'm not sure he's always locked in as much as he probably should be. So I'm always rooting for Embiid because I just think he's hilarious and I like his online Twitter persona. But if I had a bet on him and if he's my best player on my team, I don't think we're winning a championship.
So you think by the time that contract expires, they have not won a title in Philly?
No way. Even though I think Ben Simmons is the bigger problem in Philadelphia, I don't think Embiid is. I think Embiid would have to be the second best player on a championship team. So I don't know how Philly's getting that.
So what happens in Philly if Simmons is what he is, Embiid signs a supermax, and by the end of that, they have trusted the process for quite some time, and there's no hardware?
I was a big process guy, so I guess I'll take the L on this one.
You're like a Sam Hinkie devotee.
But I don't think I think people misunderstand the process. The process was that they were going to suck so they can get a bunch of draft picks, so they had a better chance at getting some superstar players, and they 100% succeeded in doing that. They landed 2 guys. They landed the first pick and obviously they got Ben Simmons, who everybody thought was going to be great, and he didn't turn out to be great. That's the NBA. That's life. Like sometimes things don't work out. The whole thing was about having a better shot at lottery picks, at good top lottery picks. And they 100% did that. So I think it was a success. The question is, can you develop those guys? And did you pick the right guy? And did they fit together? And all of those answers seem to have been no. I mean, they obviously got Embiid with the third pick, so that was a really good pick behind Andrew Wiggins, who's basically been a flop, and Jabari Parker, who was also a flop because he kind of got hurt a lot. But the problem, Philly is they're just a mess. And I think Embiid is probably he'll probably stay. And Philly had to pay him, by the way. I'm not saying they shouldn't have paid him. You have to give him that extension. He's one of the top probably 10-ish players in the league, right? Just because I don't think he's going to win a championship doesn't mean you say, all right, we're not going to sign you. Like you want to be relevant. You want to be a good team. So you re-sign him. Yeah. And he seems to love being in Philly. So I totally understand that. They have to figure out what they're doing with Ben Simmons. Simmons is always a guy that I thought needs his own team. I think he could be a Giannis light, if that makes sense. Like, I think if he got his own team, you surrounded him with 4 shooters like Giannis has, and didn't ask him to like be this guy that was going to carry you offensively, have him be a really good defensive player, which Ben Simmons is, I think he could thrive. But I think the problem is there's way too much pressure now in Philadelphia. Clearly, like, that whole relationship is soured, and I just think they need to go their separate ways. So even if they take an L on that trade, Michelle, just to bring in somebody, like, for example, I would trade Ben. I don't even know if the Blazers would do this, but I would trade Ben Simmons straight up for CJ McCollum. I'm losing that trade if I'm Philly, but I think my team is better because I think McCollum's a better fit with Embiid. This was a really, really strong impromptu hoops with Ceroots. Yeah, it's been cooped up. I haven't Priscilla's on vacation. We haven't talked hoops in a while. Yeah. I'm hyped. I can tell, and it's very passionate. A lot of great insight and some strong takes by you. I love this. You need to have some stuff for next week. Some more hoops with Ceroots coming up next week. Next week, I'll do a breakdown of Jalen Suggs and why the Magic are the sleeper of the next 5 years in the NBA. I'll bore everyone to death. So you think that the Magic's time is coming? Well, I love Jalen Suggs, and I think the fact that they got him at 5 is an absolute freaking steal. And I think he is a person who is going to change the franchise. I really believe that. Okay, tune in next week for Hoops with Ceroots. There we go. Okay, fire. I love it. Okay, before we go here, we need to get to a review since it's been a while. This is from Chelsea NV. The title is Sporting KC Love, yes. 5 stars. Loved hearing that Michelle had a great time at SKC. It's a very unique sports experience that is carefully thought out. Certainly not perfect, but better than most. I can't wait to strike up the rivalry with SLSC, St. Louis City SC. Yeah, I mean, is that going to be, like, are you guys making that your rival? Do you know that? I think so. I think that's the hope, obviously, that MLS has, is that it's going to be an in-state rivalry. The cool thing, and I've said this for you guys, is that some of those expansion teams, I mean, not Miami and not really Cincinnati, but historically, some of those expansion teams have really hit the ground running. Look at Atlanta United. Like, they draw some of the biggest crowds in soccer in the entire world in Atlanta. And I wouldn't have thought of that as some like crazy soccer city. And they've done well. They won a championship a couple years ago. So there's like real hope that you guys can hit the ground running and be a good team right away, which would be awesome if you could develop sort of that, like, that like Midwestern rivalry. I don't even know, I don't know who else Kansas City's rival would be, but I'm here for it. I got the scarf behind me. I'm ready to go. Don't worry, Steve. Once the kit is revealed, we'll get you some more swag. I'm ready to start learning some chants. Like, I need to know what the chants are. We need to get some YouTube videos made, get the word out there. Like, I'm ready. Let's go. So for St. Louis FC, their supporter section was called the St. Louligans, and I imagine that might translate to St. Louis City SC as well, because it's just a great name for a supporter section. So I could see you being a Louligan, Steve. I would definitely be a Louligan. Yeah, we gotta get Nelly there too, and Murphy Lee. Oh, I mean, they'll be there. Duh. I mean, of course, it's St. Louis. They're gonna ride for St. Louis. I just saw Nelly on Instagram dropping the cover art for his latest single, and it was like a fedora on one side and a St. Louis like a Cardinals baseball hat with the STL on it on the other side. So even now, Nelly fully repping. I'm still making music. Who would have known? I not me. No, come on. Nelly is like the guy when it comes to country rap crossovers. Interesting. I would not have. Who has he worked with? Florida Georgia Line. Come on. See, I'm too out of the scene. Left and right. I'm out of the scene. I'm too much out of the scene. I gave up on Nelly in like 2003. Sorry. Musically. How dare you? Yeah, after Country Grammar, I was out. You weren't there for Sweat and Sue at the double CD? Mm-mm. Wow. Didn't like Hot in Here. Sorry. You didn't like Hot. This is a story for a different podcast. We digressed. Listen, that is an L on your part. I'll take it. That's fine. I'll take it. It's fine. I know I'm in the minority. I'll just say. Did you like Grills? Nope. I would actually say that post Country Grammar, I think I like more of Murphy Leaf's music than I did Nelly's. Fair, because Murphy Lee spits fire. So, yep. Like Shake Your Tail Feather, amazing. Bang. What the hook gonna be? Amazing. Welcome to Atlanta remix. Murphy Lee, clearly the star. I actually listened to that song recently. I don't remember why, but it was like Welcome to Atlanta was an absolute banger.
because it's amazing. That's probably why. Okay, well, Steve, we need to go. I'm so glad that you're feeling better and that we can resume the podcast. I was concerned for a while. And thank you to the Shelleys who were patient during our time off. I was in Canton, and then Steve obviously wasn't feeling well. And I saw the DMs, I saw the tweets. We're back. Sometimes life happens. And to be fair, we did give you guys the heads up that the summer was going to be hit or miss when it came to the podcast.
That is true. We did, for reasons that we did not see coming, but yes, it has been a little bit all over the place, but here we're good. We're good to go. We'll be back.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, Steve and I will be back in action next week. But until then, Steve, give it the little cover on your nose when you sneeze.
Shout out, bald guys.
Thanks for listening to Small Talk. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or the Podcast One app.